so we got our two batteries. This is one battery and this is the second battery. You might get them connected with a rod between them, going through this hole and that hole and so forth. But you might just get one of them. So each one of them is a 48 volt, 50 amp battery, the lithium ion, the Chevy Volt. And what we want to do is first get a little bit familiar with the battery itself and what's the plan to actually make them at 24 volts, and then talk about a little bit the process of cutting them and reassembling them again to a 24 volt. So I removed the cover. It's a very simple process. You see there's a little notch here. You just put a screwdriver. It's hard to do it with one hand, but push it aside a little bit and then you can lift it. If your cover comes with one cover for two batteries, don't break it. In this case, I just bought two separate batteries, so it was cut here, as you can see. It's easier when it's just one cover on all the batteries. So there's the connection to the BMS. The BMS is on the side. We're going to remove it and install it later on, but for now we're not going to use it. And then what you see here, and it's a little bit hard to grasp in the beginning, but once you understand, it's fairly simple. Each line between, horizontal line here represents a battery. It actually represents 3 cells between those two. So there's actually behind those 3 cells, and this is the minus and this is the plus of that specific cell. And what happened is, in order to create 48 volt batteries, each cell is 3.7 volt, or between 3 and 4.2, but we'll call it 3.7 volt right now. You need to put them in serial, right? So the way they did it is they created this connection here, which you can see the next battery will be those two, right? The minus and the plus. And by connecting the plus and the minus between the two batteries, basically you build it in serial. So you'll see here that it's alternating between, let's say this is a minus plus, and then this minus is connected to the next battery plus minus, and then the minus is connected to the next battery minus plus, and so on and so forth. So in the end, I'm going to put a multimeter here in a second and show you, you will get the 48 volt, and we need to convert that to 24 volt for our purpose. Okay, so the plan is basically to take this 48 volt battery, cut it somewhere in the middle, have 24 volts and another 24 volts, and then connect the two, and this one battery from 50 amp 48 volt will become 24 volt battery, but 100 amp because power stays the same. And then we have another one. We're going to do the same exact thing here and make sure everything is connected and actually bridge between those two batteries. So this whole thing will be 200 amp hour 24 volt batteries. So if this is the first battery, this is the minus, this is the plus, and this is the second, the plus and the minus, and third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So up to here, we have 6 batteries. This is going to be the plus, the minus of the 6th battery. So if I'm connected to the plus of the first battery, so from here to here, but I just need to connect the plus, then I should get 24 volt, or actually those batteries right now are on 3.8 volts, so 3.8 multiplied by 6, 22.8. So plus here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then let's look at the multimeter, 22.8 magic. So great. So here we have a 24 volt battery. I need to cut here in order to break the connection between all the sets of this 6 batteries and the set of this 6 batteries. And that's what we're actually going to do next. Right, so this is what we're going to use to cut it. It's a really small one. I don't know if you can tell, but it's really small saw. It costs about, $30. And it has a metal cutter here at the end. Of course, safety first, so we're going to put goggles on, we're going to put gloves on, and make sure that nobody's around too. Okay, so safety, got my gloves, got my goggles on. Probably going to be a little bit hard to see, but I'll do my best here. bad. Let me clean it up a little bit, make sure that all the contacts are no longer happening between those two battery sides. There's a lot of crap here. And then I'll show you, and then we'll measure the voltage to make sure that we're good. And actually, I think I need a little bit more to cut here at the edge. I think there's a small piece here that's still connected, so let's do it a little bit better. I think it's good. And the best way to test it would be with the multimeter, and let's see if we broke the battery in terms of voltage. So I'm going to put here the minus and plus. I think it's plus. Yeah, so I didn't break the battery. It's still 47 volts, so there's a little piece here that's still touching, so let me do it a little bit more. Kind of hard to see it because it's under the plastic. Looks to me that this is it. Let's measure it again. Okay, minus and plus. Damn it. Still connection there. Oh, I see one. Just a little piece that I need to clean, I think. That's it. Maybe now. If not, I'll make it a little bit deeper. Let's see. Minus and plus. Still. So let me make it a little bit deeper. Plastic itself kind of stinks because it smells and also hides the actual connection, so it's hard to see if you broke it or not, but we'll know in a second. Okay, cleaning the plastic that's stuck here from the heat, and let's measure it again. Pause the video and then I'll dig deeper and then come back. Okay, here I am back. I did have to dig under the plastic. I'll try to show you that here. Gotta watch out, not touching two at the same time. All right, cool. So let me just show you the multimeter touching both, and there's no voltage. Let's see it jumping around. And then if I'll go here, I have my 24 volt battery, and if I'll move it from this one to this one, this one, I got another 24 volt battery. So let me just show you up close the actual cut. There you go. So here it is, and you see the plastic there at the edge. Let me try to point it here. That was my issue. There's a little piece of metal underneath. You gotta make sure that it's not connected. And I would also take a screwdriver and kind of make sure that it's separated. You can see that it is separated. So by doing so, we separated the 12 batteries, each one 3 cells, but the 12 batteries into 6 and 6. 1, 2, my finger, 1, this is 1 battery, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we have another 6 right here. Great, so this is already 2 24 volt batteries. I'm going to do the same thing on the other one. Now that I know that there's a little piece of metal on the plastic, it's going to take me less time, so I'm probably not going to record that part. Battery is also done. Just want to show the cut again. Even here, when I did the cut, I had to go a couple of times because of this plastic thing again. And again, not bad to put a screwdriver and make sure that you have enough gap here. Now, this is important, I think, when we're going to get later on in the process. Once we're going to connect the cables between the 2 batteries and the next battery, if somehow this gets connected, this hole here, you're going to have a short in the battery that will fry anything in its way, because those are going to be 100 amp hour batteries. So careful, careful. So make this deep as much as you want, and I'm actually going to cover it with a tape just to make sure that nothing falls on it and then touches those 2 sides to be safe. And then now what we need to do, the next step here, is to put the 2 batteries together in the right orientation, and I'll show you that in a second, and then make them 1 battery. Okay, so I put the 2 batteries together, and I need to connect them and make this thing stable. So essentially there is a piece here that connects the batteries from the top, which I unfortunately don't have. Didn't come with the batteries. I gotta search, maybe I have something, but if not, we're gonna skip that. But if you do have something to connect the 2, it would be a good idea, not those 2, but those 2, the ones that don't have connections on them. Those 2 will be bad, so those 2. And also there's rods that go in here to put the batteries, to hold the batteries together. The reason I'm saying it is, if you're gonna do the work on the battery and then do all the connection between the cables and then move it around, you're gonna break the connections. So I would also suggest to actually do the after you connect the batteries, do the actual work of soldering it when the battery is in its place, because it's just not very stable. But let me put the rods in. I'll show you what I mean, and then start the rest of the work. Okay, so I have those rods, and here they are. Those actually go here, all the way through to the next battery, and here, and the way, here we go. If the batteries are aligned, it will be pretty easy. However, there's a lot of spacing here. You can see I can squeeze it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a ratchet to hold this thing together, and then I'm going to tie, and I'm going to put a nut at the end to make sure it doesn't go apart. All right. Okay, so I put the ratchet around it, as you can see. I'm going to tighten it a little bit, and then the rods will come out of the other side. There you go. Let's see. And there you go. You can see they're coming out. Actually, I don't know if you can see. You can't see. Let me turn it around. There you go. And now you can see they're coming out here and here. So I'm going to put a nut there, and let's see. Okay, I just realized that I didn't have the camera on. Anyway, I just did this one. I'm going to do that one too. It's very simple. Basically, I'm not doing anything fancy here. Just making it tight. Not too much too. It should be enough in a minute. Okay, maybe one more thread. Okay, one more. Maybe one more. All right, so that's it. Now we can remove this. Okay, great. So now we have a nice one-piece battery that we can start working on all the connections. So that will be the next step. Okay, so I'm trying to do the best here so you'll see what I'm doing. So I changed the orientation here, so if it messes you up, I apologize, but here are the cuts. You can see them. I think you can see it here, here and here. And now what we're gonna have, let's get the multimeter here. Let me switch the connections to the ones that I can just touch. Okay, so again, I'm gonna break it. We're gonna connect the individual 24 volts. So let me just see if you can see the multimeter. I think you can see it. And I will also tell you what I'm measuring. So this is minus and this is plus. I'm measuring now 22.8, which is basically 6 cells at 3.8. So if this is minus and this is the plus, I need to take this minus and connect it to the next minus on the next battery. So essentially it's going to be a line that's going to run from here, right, from here, or from here, whatever I'm comfortable with, kind of going inside and then moving all the way to this one, because that will be the minus of the next battery, right? Because from here to here, I have also another 24 volt battery, actually 22.8. You can probably, hopefully you can see it. So minus will come from here, we'll go between those two, and we'll touch here. And now I connected the minuses. And now so the minuses will actually be on this side. So I'm just going to keep the minus on this side. But looking forward, I'm going to want to connect it to the next battery as well. So if the minus comes from here, touches here, now I have two batteries on the minus. It needs to go all the way to here, because now this is the minus of the next battery. Again, here from here to here, I'm measuring 22.8. If you can see, this is plastic, so I can put it here. So from here to here, and there you go, 22.8. Can you see that? Yeah. And so I'm going to have to run the minus that reached here all the way to here. And this is the same kind of thing. So from here, I'm going to have to run, I can actually run it all the way to this part here, from here, right? The minus here. And then from here to here, I'm also going to have, from here to here, I also have 24 volt batteries. So hopefully it was clear, not too much, but this side will run the minus. And now the same thing will happen with the plus. The plus will run, the first plus that I have in this battery is this one, remember? Here, this is the plus, so this is the plus. So from here, I'm gonna have to run all the way to the next plus, which will be here, right? This is gonna be the first battery that's gonna have the plus. And then from here, the next battery is gonna have the plus, is gonna be basically here. And then from here all the way to the end. And I wanna connect, I don't have, I should connect all the way to the end, but I don't have to. So that is the plan. So what you're gonna need for this step, I'm gonna need to get my soldering kit, and I chose a 10 gauge wire. It's not really flexible, and I kind of blame myself for not buying a flexible one, but we're gonna deal with it. I'm gonna cut it to the right sizes from here to here and everything that I mentioned, and then I'm just gonna solder it. So the other thing is that those surfaces are really not sticky. So you're gonna have to clean them really well to get them to be sticky, and I'll show it in the video when I'm doing it, so you'll see the struggles that I have in order to get it to stick. All right. So one thing I noticed is that if you want to put this here, the plastic is in the way. So I'm going to have to cut a little bit the plastic here. Right. Let's see if this is enough. A little bit more. Okay, now we have nice access. Great. So this is one side, same problem on the other side, obviously. this is just for the lugs. Make my life easy to run the cable. Cool. And now, remember, we need to go from here. All right, so now remember we need to go from here to the next minus, which is this one, right? Because we cut the battery here. So this is gonna be like this, something like that. And this will be bended here, and then I'll solder it right to this thing. So this is about the right size. I'm just gonna make the edge and solder it, and I'll just speed it up for you. Oops. It's black. Okay. I don't want to make it too long, so it'll be on the way of the other cables. So just make it here. This is a 10 gauge cable, so it's pretty big. All right. Alright, so I just made this lug. Just solder it here. So I just want to see the length. So we're going to put it here, and maybe it will be easier if we're just going to close it. Okay. And then it'll be easier to bend it. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, so this will go, let's put it through the second one. And all the way to here. So we got to reach this side, right? This is the next minus. So I think I'm gonna solder it to the bottom here. So open up a little bit. I put here a tape again, so nothing will fall in the middle and make a short. Okay, so what we're gonna do is probably here prepare this and then turn it, twist it around, and then get all the way there. So it should be up to here. Should be more than enough. So something like this, but let's make sure I have enough. Always easier to cut something that was too long. Okay. Now let's bend that a little bit. Perfect. Okay, that's nice. A little bit more actually. Okay. It's a bit of fiddling with 10 gauge cable, which is not fun.
but I actually don't like it because I want to make it really close to this. So I'm going to bend it even more, and then I probably have too much length here. I can cut a little bit more. You gotta be careful not touching the battery. This got the plastic on it, so it's not a problem, but the tools, you're gonna every once in a while short something. I have no doubt. I've done it many times. All right, so this is good. All right, now I'm gonna cut the edge of it, expose it, and actually it'd probably be a better idea to take it out and then do it on the side, so I'm not gonna have to accidentally touch something. Like here is good. There you go. This is a really heavy cable to deal with, so not so much fun. Okay. Okay, nice. And what I want to make it a little angle here. It will be a little bit easier to deal with, so I'll make this even more. There you go, like this. Let's see it again. That's good, but I don't like the fact that this is touching that, although it's fine. Make it maybe not touch, so I have to. Okay, that's nice. Okay, cool. So the next thing here is to bend it a little bit to the bottom, and hopefully it will stay there. Okay, so it'll be easy to solder. And then let's close this now. This is where we wanted. No, I still have an angle. I mean, tension. I don't want the tension. Okay, make it even more. Like this even. Yep, that's good. So it's already touching it even without my soldering, so that's not bad. Still not how I wanted it to be yet. Alright, so let's expose here a little bit. For now. Okay, and then try to solder it like this. So it'll be easier if I can have something that will hold this, which I don't. Alright, a little bit of flux. Just a touch. And I'm actually going to wipe it a little bit because I don't like too much. Let's heat it up. So you gotta heat it up really good until you see the flux Kind of bubbling a little bit. I'm not seeing it bubbling yet. Alright, maybe now. Yep, it's bubbling. And you can tell that it doesn't want to stick. Yeah, that's the part that I don't like. It really doesn't want to stick. Yep. So we're gonna have to heat it up more. And you see here's exactly why this is good, that it's that I put this in the middle. I'm gonna have to put it there for a while. Let it heat it up, let it heat. It's very awkward. But as soon as I get something to stick, it's gonna be easier to get the rest. Maybe I got it to stick. No, not at all. Yeah, that's the hard part. That this doesn't want to stick here. This doesn't help me now. Alright, I'm gonna remove it because it's in my way. I'm gonna put it later. I can tell that this metal doesn't want anything to stick to it. That's the hard part.
Okay, so the best method that I came up with to connect the wires to the cells themselves, you can see here that there are three, it's hard to see it, let me open it a little bit here. There are three actually cells that are touching the bridge here. That's where I cut, I covered it right now, but this is where I cut the connection between the cells. So if you put a screwdriver in between that bridge and the three cells, you can squeeze in a 10 gauge cable. And again, I might be going crazy with 10 gauge, you can go probably less, but 10 gauge cable. And then what you do once the cable is in, you tuck it in kind of tight. You see it's sitting tight, and we're going to add to that, of course, soldering, and that's what I'm going to do next. Alright, so this metal doesn't like soldering. For whatever reason, I can't get the stuff to stick to it. So what I'll do, put a little bit of flux on it, not too much. And the reason I put the towel here and there's a cardboard underneath is because I tend to put my hand on it and then bridge the two and then zap myself. So I had enough of that. So the next thing I'll do, I'll heat it up a little bit until I see the flux getting a little bit boiling. That will give me an indication that the metal is kind of ready. There you go, I think we're getting there. Let me try now. It's a little bit hot. See what happens. Yep, it definitely sticks more than before. Significantly more than before. And I'm closing the gaps here. A little bit more on the side. And then I'll show you the end result. Let's make it smooth.
There's a gap here. Just a little bit more. Okay, that looks good. Here you go. So you can see now that it actually did stick to the sides, and I'm trying to move this, it's absolutely rock solid. So that's fantastic. So that's basically our method, is to open those cells to the bridge, put it in between, and then heat it up a little bit, and that will work. So what we've added now is another connection from this plus to the end of the battery. Of course ends here, but to the next battery plus, and now we cross to the second battery as well, or actually third if you count from here. So plus, 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 we're gonna have two more. Now we've completed all the plus. So let's review that. Plus, second battery plus, third battery plus, which is connected here, just easier to put it with the lugs. And then the last battery is here, just before the cut, so from here to here is the battery. Done with the plus, we need to do exactly the same with the minus, so we'll end up with a plus here completed, and then the minus will be here. Okay, headed the first one and the second one of the minuses, kind of ugly, but it's very, very sturdy, I can't move it. And I actually went down below here and not between the cells. I don't know, it seems like it's sturdy, and then it leaves me room for the next one. I don't have to fiddle with it, so this is kind of ugly, but it is what it is. Hey, we are done. This wasn't as easy as I anticipated, but this is rock solid. I can't move the connections, they're not the prettiest, but hey, I'm not the best with a soldering iron. Now time to test it. So let me get my multimeter and try it. Okay, so we connected the plus, and if all goes well, we will have 22.8, which is 24 volt batteries when all the cells are 3.8. See, one side, other side, 24 volt. This is it. We are basically done. I'm gonna have to add that to my array of batteries. All right, so the last part was to connect the battery to the array of batteries, and it's all working together in harmony. I'll go over the connection to the BMS maybe the next video, but right now you can see they're combined to hard to see it here, there you go, 22.4 volts. So those batteries were slightly less than this battery, but now they're transferring it and equalizing themselves. That's it, pretty much the project is done.